so much, guys. It's so good to be in the house of the Lord. It is so good to be here, to see God's little church in JLife growing. You know, we often have the little game. How many people do you expect tonight? You know, we do it when we get here to set up and that. And it's so amazing for me to get proved wrong every week. I want you to join me in prayer as we open and we prepare for God's word today. Sure, Heavenly Father, man, you are so amazing. And as we talk about the heart of worship, and as we sang about here we are to worship, and we use that word hallelujah, Lord, we come before you. I just want to thank you. Thank you that we're in a place where we can serve you. We're openly, freely, as young adults, as more than young adults, but as Christians, Lord, where everybody is welcome. Lord, we gather here in your name, Lord, and we want to give you all honor, praise, and glory. Everything you do for this kingdom, Lord. Lord, I want to thank you for all the faithful people who are here tonight, Lord. They're not here for their own agenda, Lord, but for you. As we go through your word, Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your presence. O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. Amen. So, obviously, you guys know I work for two churches, and one of my portfolios in other churches that I get to deal with complaints. I think Brian gave me the portfolio because he knows I've just got thick skin and just be like, okay. Then I just walk away. You know, you can't always deal with complaints because when you're in a certain place, not everybody wants the same thing. Who here, imagine we went, I said, I'm taking you guys to Fahrenheit. But you guys can only have the green salad starter, but I took the favorite thing you like out of the salad. Who would be happy here? No, we wouldn't all order the same thing anyway, because there is always a difference. And as we get to this part of the year, pastors get tired. The reason pastors get tired is because the congregation is now tired. And it's so awkward. October. Oh, it's hectic, because all I know, everyone's just like, I just want this year to end. And everyone seems flat. They seem deflated. You can see the setup teams, oh, I don't want to set up. You can see the people like, church almost becomes a chore or a burden. So that's for you regulars who just attend. Imagine how leadership feels. Now, I love complaints when they come to me in a church. I get a little warm feeling in me when I get complaints. I don't know what it is, because I'm just like, oh! I'm like, good, if you don't like it, that's probably the Holy Spirit saying that you need to sort something out. As we start today, we would never ever be guilty. None of us here would ever be guilty of saying something bad about the church, right? Right? The church, never. And I want to ask you guys, and please, I want you to interact with me throughout the service and the sermon tonight. Is what are things you've heard straight after church or worship? Would you like a few examples? Why can't we sing more of the songs that I like? 10,000 reasons, right? Every time I tell people I don't like 10,000 reasons, we play that song. And for about my first 18 months working at the church, every time they did a sound setup, they played 10,000 reasons. And I would just be like, And I beg the sound guys, please, man. Please, can we not take this offer? Anybody, one of you ever heard a complaint or had a complaint from a church service?
Plenty. Open the curtains.
Open the curtains. Just so everybody knows, I'm the one who broke the curtains at Hillside. The thing at the back that turns to doesn't no longer turn on the right side. You've got to pull it like you're ringing a bell.
This is long before you. Yeah, I've had.
They said they fixed it and I broke it. Peter said the other day.
Didn't really like worship today.
I didn't really like worship today. Okay. Another one. I'm famous for this one. I get this all the time, even when I'm not preaching, especially when I'm not preaching. It's kind of weird. I don't think the preacher should talk about this or that. I once mentioned the word gay in church and people left. Woo! I can't believe so and so didn't talk to me today. You get busy. I can't say hi to everybody. Someone's going to walk in front of the church and say, hello. Now everybody must get up in front of the church and they say hello, so no one's offended. Because sometimes we get busy. Sometimes I actually have to pick up. Sometimes my job is to go and have a cup of coffee. Or else, it's my job. I can't do it and I get it all the time. Here's a famous one. No one ever notices what I do in church. I am so guilty of this one. Almost every week, every week. No one sees what I do here. No one knows that I have to be up at 4 o'clock so that they can get here at 5 to 9 to have worship. No one knows that I've got to leave at 12 o'clock. I've got to pack up all the chairs. I went to you about this on Sunday. How bad is it? And I'm like, oh my word. And God's busy saying to you, Stu, is this worship? Now thank you guys for the messages in that last week. I truly appreciate it. It means that you guys needed to hear about worship. Because I got a lot of WhatsApp saying, Stu, thank you. I needed to hear it. So I'm like, I didn't say it, thank God, bro. I'm just like the noise. Just go in there. Here's the problem. Worship isn't about getting anything. It's about giving everything to God. When I read that, I was like, How often do I complain that there's no bass guitar playing in church? All I want to do is receive, and God's like, bro, it's not about you, Stu. It's about me. People define church about how many ministries they have, how many are active. Do you know, in the Church Council of South Africa, they did a big thing on big churches here and found out that big churches had ghost ministries. Yeah, we had a men's breakfast or whatever, but the guy who organized the breakfast, the only guy who was there. But they advertise it, but they don't tell you when and where it is, because it looks good to have that ministry. We judge a church on the size or the quantity of people, how good the band sounds, how good looking the pastor is. Yes, now you guys are in serious trouble, right? It's in Hillsong in Australia. The head of worship, his dad is obviously the head of the church, and he was quite offended because he was too small when they had their first service in the garage. He wasn't allowed to play because he wasn't good enough, and it offended him for years and years and years until he realized what worship was about, and that it wasn't about him, and it was all about God. And he decided he's going to give everything to God, and he's going to take, and he used this word, not the mantle, but the burden of leading worship for millions of people, because it's the person God made him to be. And as soon as he gave everything to God and it wasn't about him, and he found this beautiful girl to marry, the next night 270 ladies left their Bible school. They were not there for the worship. They were there for the amazing voice and the absolute talent and the really, really good looks. And his hair makes me so cross because he used to have that brushed back look here and everything. And I try to brush my hair, it just doesn't work. Then I showed why I always wear hats because I've got bad hair. And he got to this point and he realized it was like, shock. People judge church on the results. Our big mandates with our youth group is quality, not quantity. Because I've been in a youth group where there's hundreds of people with no quality. And when I look back at them now, very few serving the Lord. I have to look and say, sure, what is going on? And let's be honest, who here doesn't judge a church like that? The first time I walked into this room and thought this is going to be a church, I was so despondent when I left. My heart felt like it was in my kneecap somewhere. And Gary spoke and said, and that's the vision. I was like, felt like my heart was in my big head now. I felt so excited. And I was wrong. Why? Because I was judging on the things that aren't from God. I was judging on what Stewart needed to do to get there instead of what God could do here. And I was like, unfortunately, we fall short of making everyone happy. Do you know God can be disgusted by our worship if it's for us and not for Him? Our efforts to seek sensitive and self-sensitive have made us insensitive to the divine presence, who is the focus of our worship. As the Apostle Paul said, we exchanged the truth of good for a lie and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator. When you make worship about you, it's about the creature and not the Creator. And that's Romans 1 verse 25. Personal struggles within a church, selfish ambition. You know, how many people leave a church because it didn't go their way? Sometimes that's the first seed that's planted years before that didn't go their way. And they sit there disgruntled and make other people disgruntled and go talk to everybody else until there's 4 or 5, 6 disgruntled people. And then they leave the church and then get upset when they realize that the church isn't about them. Our last privilege is to receive Christ. And I've got a subtitle for tonight again, is Falling in Love Again with God. Falling in love with God. Now we're going to get towards that at the end, you know. Has anybody here ever fallen in love with a puppy?
Yes.
Or you've fallen in love? Has anybody ever fallen in love with a TV character that you never had any chance to ever get? Hey! Man. Jennifer Aniston. Come on, man. I'm here in Edenvale. What is wrong? You know, I used to think about writing that girl letters. You know, and falling in love. And as we get there, okay, we can go to our scripture here. You know, 2 Corinthians 3 verse 18. Now it's very short. But we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord. Sounds a bit hectic, right? I could preach for about 6 sermons just on that. And when I read it, I'm just like, but we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord. I'm just like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Now, Christ is the veil. Now we're talking about unveil. Now, anybody wants to know about why we always talk about the veil in church? Have you ever thought about the veil? The Eden veil? The veil, and it was a thing that came up. It comes from Exodus 33. I don't know if you guys remember when Moses went up to the mountain and for the 10 Commandments, and he went to God for long, and it was pretty cool, and he got to worship with God. He got to see God, and he came down, and the first thing that people noticed about him was that his face was shiny. Now, I don't know about you, for a shiny face, I have to use shimmer lotion from Nivea for Men. That's what I need to do. And Moses spent time with God and came down with a shiny face. First things first, I want you to notice in Exodus 33, he didn't know his face was shiny. The others did. And they put a veil over him. So what Paul's saying here to the church in Corinth is, he didn't know. He sought God. There was a presence about him. He came and people could see God within him. You know, for Paul to know that tells you just how well he knew the Old Testament. Because he talks about it through the whole book of Corinthians, about this unveiling and a mirror, the glory of the Lord. Now, I want you guys to understand quickly, when we talk about the mirror, alright? Anybody ever sent a voice note here and listened to your voice note and then you bad your voice out? And then you ask, do I really sound like this? And your friends are like, yes. Because you sound different to yourself. Scientific fact. I mention this to my girls all the time. in the youth group. When you look at yourself in the mirror, like I'm looking at my reflection in the glass right now, you see yourself as 7 times better looking than you actually are. So when you think you've gone out in public looking bad, sure. Sure. Now the mirror there is intense. Back in those days, to get a mirror, it was something, a piece of steel, probably brass or something, that was polished. The only glass they had in those days was from a desert when lightning struck the desert and glass was formed. So they could see a reflection, and I can almost guarantee you, some people who thought that they were like the shizness were like, you. You know what I'm saying? Because they thought of themselves as so much better as they really are. So he puts it there, mirror the glory of the Lord. I want to ask you guys, when was the last time you got so involved in worship in church that when you left you mirrored God? I heard that, I was like, you know, can I use an example of the Springbok rugby side? Would you guys be offended? Straight after they won their game and they finished with their hangover, they went into this huge hall, and families and special guests and coaches from all over the world and ex-Springboks were there. As they walked in there with their medals, not just wearing speedos this time, everybody and all the Japanese people went ballistic. They went ballistic. Those Japanese people didn't know every Springbok player's name. They didn't know everything that had happened. They didn't know the history of South Africa. But they praised them for their effort. How many of you would be praised for your effort in church? When I heard that, I was like, hello! Would people see the glory of me mirrored in my face from my effort? No, because it's become a burden to me. I haven't had a heart of worship. I've had a heart of, I'm hurtful and tired. I don't want to listen to people's problems all day, every day. I want to be able to sleep at night without taking tablets for anxiety because you've got everybody else's anxiety now on you. I want to be able to have a heart of worship that when I'm finished and I've done it, it's not a chore. That nervous feeling I get when I have to do the announcements in front of the church and I start shaking like a leaf in that. And I'm just like, stop right there, Stewart. That's not worship. That's fear. You know, there's a good old acronym for fear, you know, false evidence appearing real, fear, you know. When you do an announcement and it's true worship, it's a pleasure, it's an honor, it's something you want to do. And I was told by one of my mentors the other day, Stu, you don't want to do those announcements, man up and do them for the glory of God and not for your insecurities. And I was like, no. And then he said, where is your heart in this piece of worship? Last week we spoke about serving and packing our chairs and how that could be worship. Our life's purpose is to reflect Christ, just as Moses reflected the glory of God. We need to understand Paul and the meaning to be mirrored. We need to behold the glory of God. Moses' face shone because he reflected the presence of God. You know, I had an important meeting today with the person who's responsible for all of Nando's adverts and advertising. And if I mention the name, what's her name? Surname's Lowe. Surname's Lowe. But you wouldn't know who she was. But if I mentioned Nando's, you know who I'm talking about. Alright? Do you know what one of the most famous advertisements for, that is known all around the world, even in the deepest, darkest jungles in Brazil and in India and that? Snap, crackle, pop. Did you know that?
Wow.
Did you know that more people know about Coca-Cola than Jesus Christ? Scary, eh? Do you guys know who the owner of Coca-Cola is? Well, there are two. Do you know who the inventor of Snap, Crackle and Pop was? Doesn't matter. So I'll ask you your question in your life, when you seeking God, are you seeking the answer and the glory? Or do you want to be the person who worships background? Because when you want to come with an idea, it's got to be good, it's got to be open, and it's got to be sincere, and it's also got to work. So when you come with that idea to worship, is your worship going to be good? It's going to be open, it's going to be honest, it's going to be sincere. Or is it going to be about making you feel better? You know, worship represents the ultimate transformation of us mirroring God. Not just singing songs. Everything you do, does it mirror God? And I'm like, hey, how often do we fall short of this? Now, last week we spoke about when the music fades and all is stripped away. I want to ask you the question is, when you strip your life away and all the things that aren't from God fade, how much of Jesus is left there with you? Because when I thought about that in my life, I was like, so much to do, maybe this much God. So the title and the subtitle was Falling in Love Again with God. Now, Tom Jones sings a very famous song, says, I'll never fall in love again, and the lyrics go like this. I've been in love so many times, I thought I knew the score, you know. And he's busy singing about, I thought I knew what love is. I want to know what love is. That's not the song, by the way. But he's like, and he goes into the song, and he goes into the chorus, and he's like, fall in love, I'll never fall in love again. Because he doesn't want that hurt, he doesn't want that pain. Who here wants hurt and pain in their worship? Let me tell you, some of the most authentic worship you'll ever have in your life is when you're hurting and when you're in pain. Why? Because it's all about Him and less about you. Have you ever had that feeling of when you're in love? It could be with anything. Little puppy. I see dogs, I'm just like, oh, I love you so much. And I see them and it makes my heart warm. And I can't stop smiling. It looks like I'm airing my teeth. I'm just like, because I love it and it makes me feel good. And when I go home or I'm driving, I think about that little dog and I'm just like, oh man, it's so cute. And I love it, you know. And I can remember when I first fell in love with a girl, I was like, oh, it's amazing. You know? The butterflies in your tummy, you're like, I know what they're talking about. You're just like, oh yes, and it feels good. And it feels like you can do anything. And you get to that point, like, life is so good. And I want to ask you that question. Did you feel like that about your worship of Jesus? And I want to ask you, do you need to fall in love again? Now, I've sung to a girl on stage. I've given a girl flowers in front of a whole school. I've did this really, really romantic proposal thing, and then we didn't. 10,000 reasons. And I did everything planned and didn't go to my plan. And I was like, oh, I don't want to fall in love again. Who did I blame? The girls. When things go wrong in church, who do you blame? The people or God? I blame the people. But guess what? It separates me from God. Someone said to me the other day, it's like, the best thing that ever happened to me was leaving the church. I've gone to this new church and it makes me feel so good. And I said, what makes you think that the Jesus is different? I said, was the problem with you or with the church? And is it God's problem or your problem? And then I had to break down and say, but sometimes it's your time to leave a church. And God has moved you out of that season for His glory. But did you make the problem your problem? the church's problem or God's problem? If you had to think about, and all of us will be different tonight, if you had to think about how you would fall in love again, that worship, and I want to talk to you guys in leadership, becomes a pleasure. You guys waking up early to get to Rad. You guys at the back waking up early to bring them to church. Because when they're excited after confirmation camp, it doesn't mean you guys are, hey? Yeah, exactly. If you had to fall in love again with God, what would you do? Now don't answer me because everyone here will have something different. Have you ever got the love of someone and you didn't deserve it? That grace. That, and all of a sudden you look at that person, mine was my mom, and I looked at her and I thought, I love you. And I wanted to hold her, and I wanted to give her a hug that meant words. I couldn't use the words, but I wanted to make it feel like it was there, because my heart was bursting with that. My question for you is, how do you get to that point with your relationship with God, with church, with your worship? Because if you don't sort out your worship, you won't get close to God. Because now it's just a business transaction. When you come there to worship God and give Him everything for Him, your worship goes to the next level. The heart of worship. Now all of us here need to do something to fall in love with God again. To get that grace we don't deserve, which He's busy going to right now. I'm waiting for you. He's waiting to give that hug for you. Now as we look at our verse, all I want you to get there is, are you veiled so people can't see God's glory? And do you mirror the glory of God? And if I had to put a mirror the size of this, imagine this whole thing here. How much of this mirror, if it was your life, will glorify God? How much would be glorifying you? Maybe up to there, glorifying you, then glorifying God? What do you think God wants? That's a question you need to answer. The heart of worship changes in the church when every individual makes it about God. I wanted to put a little tree on the door there, and every time you come in, you know the story about the guy who was so angry at work, and he went in and he touched the tree. Ooh, sorry, Jesus, I see you. And he touched the tree, he left his problems there behind, and the guy said, but how do you do it? He said, no, when I touch a tree, I leave the problems behind. I want you to put a tree on the door, so when everybody walks into this room, they leave the world behind and focus on God. When they leave here, they don't need to touch it and take it back with them, because they reflect Him, God. Let us pray. For God, so often we fall short of your glory because we make worship about us, because we mirror ourselves, our self-interests, our insecurities, our selfishness, and we don't mirror you. God, I pray that when we look at a heart of worship and we look at who you want us to be, Father, I pray that Holy Spirit, be touching hearts, minds, lives, souls right now for how we can come and worship you authentically. Lord, J Life exists for your glory. We exist to worship you, Lord, and you alone, Father. Anything we get from you, Lord, is just a bonus. I just want to thank you, Lord, for everyone in this room, Lord. I want to pray Psalm 91 over us as we almost closing the service. Angels can provide us and protect us. And Lord, I pray that J-Love will forever, ever seek your face, mirror you, and authentically worship you.